Welcome to my Minecraft Bedrock villager testing area. And of course, once again, here we are discussing villager leader. And this is the last time I'm going to discuss it. I'm going to say this one more time. Minecraft Bedrock villages are based on claimed POI. You understand that? They are based on claimed POI. Not a villager leader, not a head bed, not a center bed. They're based on claimed POI. Claimed POI. Okay, let's jump into it. Here we have a single villager. And with no bed, there is no village. This is just a villager hanging out in a field. Nothing else around here, just a villager hanging out in a field. Let me check my directions. Okay. Now, if I place this bed down, as soon as he gets green particles, we will have a village. We now have a village. We have one villager and one bed. We now have a village. You must have at least a single villager and a single bed. Now, this bed is claimed by this villager. Let's look at the data. And here we have the village. This first folder here is for the village dwellers. And this first folder here, that's for villagers. This is for iron golems. You notice that we have none. This is for hostels. And I'll talk about that later in a raid farm video. And this last one is passive or neutral, and it's for cats. Now, we have our villager here. Notice the last 4 digits of his villager ID number, because this is the number that you use to recognize individual villagers. No 2 ID numbers are going to be the same. And this right here is, of course, his TS number or timestamp number. If you have questions about that, I can answer those, but that's not what this video is going to be about. What you need to make note of is 3215. 3215. That's the last 4 digits of his villager ID number. Okay. Now here we are. This is the info for the village. It shows the furthest XYZ coordinates right here. Here's the Z coordinates. You notice that it's 32 and 32 on the X. Now the Y here, that's the vertical, and we're not going to be going into that right now. We only want to pay attention to the X and Z coordinates because we're working on a 2-dimensional flat plane, okay? Now here are all of the villagers listed in the village, and it lists their POI. Notice that this one is the bed, and it actually shows skip 0. Now, skip 0 means that it has this type of POI, and when it becomes time for that type of POI in the schedule, because this is a bed, at nighttime, then the villager will attempt to pathfind to this type of POI. This folder is for bell, and notice that he doesn't have a bell, so it says skip 1. And it also says skip 1 here because we don't have a workstation yet either. Let's give him a workstation and a bell, and we'll come back and check out how it changes. Now, we are going to give him a workstation. His skin changed because he became a Fletcher. And we're going to give him a bell. He'll link to the bell, okay? Now, let's check that out in the data one more time. Also to note that this bed here is at 0, 0. And so the center of this village is here at 0, 0. You understand that? We are at 0, 0. This is the northwest lower corner of this bed. We are at 0, 0 right here. So let's look at the data. Once again, we have a single villager. Still the same villager, 3215. That's important. His timestamp number has changed because we've progressed forward in time. The village size is still the same. We're still at 32 and 32 here. What has changed is this. We still have a bed. Skip 0, which means we have a bed. And we have a bell. Now, right here, you'll notice it says capacity 20. That means up to 20 villagers can claim a bell. Okay. We're going to talk about that later. I just wanted to bring it to your attention right now while I was looking at it. Capacity of 20 for a bell. Now, for a bed, capacity of 1. Only a single villager can claim a bed. But up to 20 villagers can claim this bell, this same bell. And of course, here we are with our workstation. It indicates that he is a Fletcher. Yeah, it indicates he's a Fletcher. And it has, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm having trouble seeing my monitor here at the bottom. Oh, okay, sorry. So I have trouble with my eyes sometimes. It has a capacity of 1 right here. Capacity of 1. You see that? Here are the XYZ coordinates for the workstation. Here are the XYZ coordinates for the bell. Here are the XYZ coordinates for his bed. Does everybody see that? Here's where the XYZ coordinates are going to be listed for each of these POI. Okay, that's going to be important later also. But now that we have everything worked out, that this is a bed, this is a bell, and this is a workstation, let's start changing some stuff. Here we are back in our villager testing area. Now, the pro villager leader people will tell you that bed, villager, we don't want a baby. I mean, we can use a baby, but it's better if we don't. Okay. Bed. We need one more bed. Okay. Then they will say workstation, 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 workstation. Now, all of that is true. Villagers claim POI in the order that they join the village. That is absolutely correct, and I've said that many, many times in many, many videos. Or what you'll notice is there's no bell here. You don't actually need a bell for any of that to work. So bells are suspect already. However, I'll place the bell. Everybody links. And he will tell you that because he had angry particles, he's the villager leader. How come these guys don't even link to the bell? They don't even get particles down there. They don't get linking particles. They don't get delinking particles. How come these guys don't do that? The only person who's going to get delinking particles is the first villager to claim a POI. It doesn't matter if it's beds, doesn't matter if it's bells, it doesn't matter if it's workstations. Only one villager is going to get a delinking particle per POI. You don't believe me? We have 5 villagers here. What happens if we have up to 21 villagers? So now there are 5 villagers. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 villagers have all claimed this bell. Notice that he does not claim the bell. What's this? He'll claim this bell. Is he the villager leader? Watch this. Is he the villager leader? He claimed the bell. He claimed this bell, though. Is he the villager leader? I thought if you claimed a bell, the first villager to claim a bell, you're the villager leader. Can there be two villager leaders? How is that possible? Bells are just a type of POI. You see this? They're just a type of POI. How come that guy's the villager leader? He doesn't even look. There's a new villager leader all of a sudden. Watch. We have a new villager leader. How is any of that even possible? Do you understand the problem with the villager leader idea? None of these villagers are special. None of them are special. I cannot say that enough. This guy's not special. Look at there. He's not special. You're not special, dude. You're just a person with a bell. Let me show you in the data. I want to show you right here that we have 21 villagers. 21 villagers. I also want to show you this. This is our info. You see how the X and Z have changed? You see that? How can it be based on the first villager's bed? How can that villager be magic? How can any of that be possible? How did it change? We didn't move the bed. All we did was add one extra villager. You're telling me that the villager leader is so fragile that adding one extra villager breaks it? Get out of here with that. That is nonsense. Do you see how from 32 to 35 it changed here to 29? This used to be 32 and 32. And this used to be 32 and 32. Let me show you why. The first villager here in this list has a claimed POI. It doesn't have a bed. It doesn't have a workstation. It has this bell. This bell is the first claimed POI. Do you understand that? In this list, this bell is the highest claimed POI. It doesn't have to be a bed. It doesn't even have to be a bell. It could have been a workstation. This villager could have just had a workstation. Because this is the highest claimed POI, this is now the default center of the village. I'm going to say that one more time. This bell is now the default center of this village. Adding a simple villager, moving the bell around a few times, your whole village center fell apart. There is no village leader. There's no head bed. There's no center bed. There's none of that. It is based on claimed POI right here. This is the new center of your village. Notice that it is at X2, Z -3. Now let's go back here. It said X2, right? So 30 and 24, or 30 and 34 rather, would bring you to, if you took the average of those two, you would come out to this number right here, 2. You see that? That's how you find the average. That's how you find the center. So that's the X number. And here's the Z number, 35 and 29. Right? And the average would be -3. Notice that we are at +2, -3. Exactly the averages of these numbers right here. Do you understand? So that bell is now the default center of that village. Now, you're saying, of course, that makes sense. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. There's nothing magic about the villager. There's nothing magic about the bed. It is simply the highest claimed POI in the village. I want to say that one more time. Right here, you go to the dwellers list. You find the number 1 villager. Look, it has changed. The order has changed. Isn't that weird? Before it was what, 3215? Remember I told you to remember that number? It's now 5098. Isn't that weird? Saving and quitting, adding more villagers, doing all the things that you would do to build an iron farm, to build a village, to do this, to do that in real world situations can alter the list order. Do you understand that? It can alter the list order. Not to mention an update. Every time there's an update, this list right here gets scrambled every single time. And when this list gets scrambled, so do the POI. So what you thought was a perfectly aligned village is no longer a perfectly aligned village. Now that we have shown that the village is based on claim POI, let's start over. No villagers, no workstations, no bells, no beds, none of it. We're completely back to scratch. Place down our bed, load up our villager, get a link, we'll join that. We'll run this test again. And yes, some of the things that people have said are true. It's not that they're not true. It's that they're not true for the reasons they think they are. And you're thinking, okay, if I break his bed and I place his bed there, he'll link to it. And he still has the same particles, but he must still be the villager leader. Well, we've already talked about that. There is no villager leader. Yes, if you move his bed over there, he will still be the first villager in order. He will still be the first one that links to this bell. Because he's the first one in the list, his bed will be the first claimed POI because it's the top of the three. Beds are always claimed before bells and workstations. So yes, by default, his bed, the northwest corner of it, will be the default center of the village. I want that understood. It's not that you're wrong. It's that you're wrong for the wrong reasons. Because you don't understand how it works. You think there's a magic villager leader, and there's not. Yeah, you can reproduce that 100 times. However, you can just as easily break it like I showed you. By adding 20, 21 villagers, by adding an extra bell, by adding anything extra, it all unravels very quickly when you start looking into it. There is no villager leader. This villager has jack squat to do with it, center of this village. I showed that with the last video, debunking villager leader. If you stretch this village, right now, this village is on a 2-dimensional plane. I know it goes vertically. We're not going to talk about that. This is the size, this glowstone right here. This is the size of this village. You want to see it in the data? Let's go look. Okay. As you can tell, we have the 5 villagers that we just showed. We have our village size back out to 32. Okay. Just like we talked about. Here's the POI. And like I said, this is the top claimed POI. If the village is reordered, the top claimed POI will change. It will be a different villager that claims it. None of that will matter. This is the top claimed POI currently. Now, you can also notice that he has claimed a bell. You can also notice that they have claimed a workstation. I can get rid of this workstation, this bell, and I can get rid of this bed, and I can make this workstation the center of the village. You understand that? It is based on the claimed POI, not a magic bed, not a magic villager, not a magic bell. It is based on claimed POI. I want that clearly understood. Okay? Because I'm about to do that exact thing that I just said I was going to do. I'm going to make this workstation the center of this village. Let's watch. We're going to get rid of the bed. Now, by default, this bell would become the center of the village because it is now the highest claim POI. However, we're going to get rid of that too. We're going to get rid of that workstation. Guess what? This is now the default center of the village right here. This lower northwest corner of this bed, because it is now the highest claim POI. At the bell, it's now the center. At this workstation way over here, well, actually, that's too far for him probably to claim it. Put it right there. Let's look at the coordinates of it so that you can see the center of this village. -4, -1. Notice we still have our 5 villagers. We still have our villager ID number from the previous time. We don't have any golems or cats or hostiles. Not what I meant to click on, sorry. Here we are, the XYZ. Now, this would put us at -4 if you do the average here, and -1, just like our current POI right here. Check this out. No bed because skip 1. So at nighttime, he won't look for a bed because he doesn't have a claimed bed. Skip 1 on the bell. Look at that. So the highest claimed POI is at -4, -1, and it is a Fletcher workstation. Do you understand that? That is now the default center of this village. However, it's not actually technically tied to these workstations. As I showed in my previous video, if you stretch the village, it is actually a floating point calculation. If you stretch the village, it uses these numbers right here, these XYZ numbers right here, to determine the center of the village. It is not tied to any of these POI. It is, however, defined by the POI, because these numbers will always encompass all of the claimed POI. So if you have claimed POI outside of the default 64 by 24 by 64 size, the village will stretch to accommodate them, and the center is actually a floating point calculation at that point. So once again, the village would still be determined by claimed POI. The center would still be determined by claimed POI. I want to say that one last time. There is no magic villager. There is no magic bed. There is no head bed. There's no lead bed. There's no center bed. There's none of that. It is determined by claimed POI, points of interest. I want that to be very clear. Claimed POI. Now here we are back. If we re-add his bed, this is now the default center of the village again. Here at 0, 0. You understand that? 0, 0 is now the center of this village because this became the claimed POI, the highest claimed POI in the list. Now, should the list become scrambled? Should the list become reorganized due to crashing, to a glitch, to save then quit, to did you rapidly unload it wrong? Did you let it run day and night cycles and accidentally a villager couldn't pathfind to his bed? The order will change. Did you update? The order will change. The center of your village will be in flux. Do you understand that? It is not based on any of these villagers. None of these villagers are special. This villager is not special. This villager is not special. None of them are special. This bell is not special. It only contains 20 villagers. What do you do if you have more than 20 villagers? What if you have 30 villagers? Did 10 of those villagers just not get a bell? Too bad. Too bad for you guys. The reason this works is because the first villager to claim a POI and delink from a POI will always show anger particles. Do you understand that? Most of these POI only have a capacity of 1, so it only shows one person getting angry particles. This can have a capacity of 20. Only the first villager that delinks from it will get angry particles. He's still not the villager leader. It doesn't have anything to do with him. The center of the villager doesn't revolve around him. Watch this. If I get rid of all of his POI, the new center of this village is now here because this is the highest claimed POI. Let me show you. 2-0. Let's look at the data. I want to show that there's still 5 villagers. And I want this to show that their precious villager leader is still there. You see that? The order is still the same. However, what I want to show you is, notice it is not changed on the z-axis, but has changed on the y-axis. So it is at 2 for x and 0 for y, just like we predicted. Because this villager has a bunch of skips. Skip, skip, skip. He doesn't have any POI. There are no POI here to become the default center of the village. There are no claimed POI. This is your villager leader. This is the guy that they're telling you is the villager leader. Do you understand that? This is their villager leader. And notice that he has a bed. This is the highest claimed POI right here currently. This is the highest claimed POI. So this is why it's the default center of the village. Notice that it's at 2 and 0, just like we predicted. 2 and 0. That's what we predicted. This is the highest claimed POI. Villages are controlled by claimed POI. The size of the village is controlled by claimed POI. The centers of the village are controlled by claimed POI. Not magic villagers, not villager leaders, not lead beds, not head beds, not center beds, not first beds, not none of that. All of that is nonsense. And just as like predicted, this became the center of the village right here. This lower northwest corner. Now, let's give this guy, they will tell you that's the villager leader. He doesn't have any POI. And so nothing of his is the center of the village because he doesn't have any POI. He doesn't have any claimed POI. So none of that can become the center of the village. We'll give him all of his POI back. This is now the default center of the village again. Do you understand? It's controlled by claimed POI, not magic villagers, not bells, not head beds, not lead beds, not none of that. It's all nonsense. I tried reaching out. I didn't want to make this video again. I'm tired of making villager leader videos. I will work with whoever. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you are interested in getting it correct, please message me. Message me on YouTube. Message me on Discord. My link to my personal Discord will be in the description. If you want to do it publicly, that's fine. If you want to do it privately, that's fine. Please message me so that you can get it correct. I would love nothing more than to help anyone. I don't care about your battles with the tech community. I don't care. I don't want to be involved in them. Message me. I will help you sort it out. Please, everyone in the community, stop saying villager leader. Stop saying villager head bed, lead bed, center bed. Please stop saying all of that. It's village center, please. There is no such thing as villager leader. I cannot make this any more clear. People who continue after this are now intentionally lying to you. I don't know their motivation. I can only speculate that it has something to do with their anger towards the tech community. At this point, though, I don't care. They are lying to you. I don't want to know their motivation for them lying to you, but that's what they're doing. So that's all I have for today. It's nothing to do but clean up the villager testing area and go home. Thanks for watching. Links in the description, I guess. I won't be making another villager leader video. So if there are further questions, join the Birch Church and ask them there. But I am done discussing villager leader. That's all I have to say. Bye.